This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, it's a lovely Monday here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
As we dodge the raindrops once again. It's kind of like off and on rain.
Yeah, you know.
Constant.
That's kind of what it is this time of year, but at least there's no power outages, and I think we're past all that stuff, right?
I think.
Although they said something about hail today. Is my crazy?
It hailed at my house on Friday.
Oh, did it really?
I would not believe. I had it was a couple inches thick up against the side of my house. I
wow.
A brick house, and it must have just hit and just all went straight down. I'm like, wow, that was pretty.
That's bonkers.
Pretty impressive. Didn't push the house over.
No.
But on that subject, according to the Washington Post, when the owners meet in Minneapolis on May 20th and 21st.
I forgot there's another owners meeting
the big
we don't
one.
go to.
This is the one where all the stuff gets pushed through.
Right,
anything
like
that they tabled
when
at
they tabled
the
the
meetings.
Tush Push and all that kind of stuff.
The league is expected to consider a revised proposal that would prohibit not just the Tush Push, but any aiding of a runner.
See, I think that's the only way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
If you're going to go in, you make the rule across the board, and that used to be a rule.
It used to be the case.
And I never knew it went away until everyone was helping each other. You know,
Yeah.
like I never, a 200-pound running back is fighting for his life at the 2-yard line, gang tackles, fighting, blah, blah, blah. And then a big guard comes in and grabs him and throws him over the goal line. That shouldn't be allowed.
No.
This isn't tag team wrestling.
No, I'm waiting for some team to, get a little person at running back and just toss him over the line of scrimmage.
Did you hear that one? You're not the first to think of this. The dude that came up, what's his name? He used to coach at Texas Tech. He was like the first air raid guy. Publicly said we were looking for little people that are athletic, and we were going to throw them over the top. I don't think that should be legal.
Mike Leach?
Yes, I think it was Mike Leach. Yeah, and say it's a well-known coach that is a very innovative mind who wanted to
slightly crazy.
It's slightly crazy. And we had some good baseball stories before we went on the air. Wasn't there like a very small human being that they would bring up in like the 40s?
Eddie Kantner.
His strike zone was
White
like
Sox,
this
I
big.
believe. Yeah.
He walked a lot, I bet.
I don't know that he did it a bunch of times, but they did it at least once.
At least once. There's a picture of him at the plate. But anyway, it should be illegal.
It should be illegal.
Yeah. I think the Tush Push should be illegal.
Just make all of it. You can't aid
Don't
the runner.
aid the runner.
You can't aid the
runner.
runner.
You can sneak all you want. I just can't have somebody behind me doing the work for me. Right. Yeah. That's my part of it.
Yeah. No, the quarterback sneak has been part of football since football began.
Mm-hmm.
The ice ball was
totally different world.
The ice ball was won on a quarterback sneak.
Sure.
That's
Tom Brady's great at it. I mean, you don't even have to be a great athlete to do it. Right.
Just have a feel for where the opening is and dive into it. But pushing somebody through that should be illegal.
I'm glad it hasn't happened, but I'm also very shocked that someone has not been injured.
Well, that was
particularly the quarterback.
That was the reasoning when we were at the meetings that some of the coaches gave, and even the league when they came out and said, "Look, we don't have enough data on."
I remember
this
Mike
play.
Tomlin mentioned that. He's like,
we're
on the comp committee, and usually we have a ton of plays to go off of. There really isn't that many.
There were like 170 tush pushes in the history.
No one really got hurt yet.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's not dangerous,
You say that nobody had gotten hurt, but the teams that run it the most, the Eagles were dealing with injuries at Garden Center in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Could that have been tush push related? Certainly.
Yeah, maybe. Right.
If you remember in the Super Bowl, Chris Jones jammed his neck on a tush push play.
Oh, yeah. I bet there have been linemen. I was focused more on quarterbacks, which probably isn't fair.
I mean, and I understand that could happen on any play.
It is, but it is tight quarter, rough on the body plays.
Yeah.
But that could happen on a sneak.
It could happen on a sneak, but at the same time, to say that there's no injury data, like
there might be some, right? I just think not being able to control yourself, getting pushed from behind,
shoved from behind into a mass of humanity,
kind of like a doll. Doing my best is not good for protecting yourself,
and it's just not a fun play to watch.
I think it's terrible to watch.
Yeah,
even if the Steelers were the best team ever at it, I'd be like, ban it.
It's nothing against the Eagles, or it's not,
Good for them.
The teams that do it well, fine, that's great. And
Didn't Tomlin say something like that too? Like, good for we're all in favor of teams being creative and finding not a loophole, but getting really good at something.
Is that really creative though?
Creative might not be the right word, but they've mastered it.
It was certainly something that was innovative.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Tomlin said about it, he said, look, the first time I saw it, I'm like, well, that can't be legal.
Right. But
and
then it's a loophole.
It was a loophole in the rule.
Yeah.
And I'm just not a fan. Like, I just think back to the NFC Championship game when it became a joke.
Oh, I know.
You just dive over
when
the
you're
top.
at the goal line too, right? What do I have to lose? I'm going to go back half the distance to the goal when I'm already on the goal line,
right?
Right. No, there's room for that to make it real dumb.
Yeah,
I know
I think that was really the tipping point for the whole thing.
Right. That's when I realized the ref can actually award a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, you're not playing in the spirit of the rules, but why should the defense be penalized? I mean, like, I kind of was more on Washington's side on that one.
If they awarded a touchdown, I just thought of this.
Mm-hmm.
Who would actually get the touchdown?
Like, for fantasy reasons or whatever. You can't give it to Hurts and just assume he got it.
Can't assume he got it.
Right.
Is it a team touchdown?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All the touchdowns wouldn't add up in the individual
They
stat
would not.
sheet, probably. I assume they just call it Eagles touchdown. Would your defense special teams get it for fantasy?
That I don't know. I don't know. That would certainly be if that situation arose.
But we don't like the shenanigans the defense is doing.
Let alone, let's say it happened on the first play of the game or the first series of the game,
mm-hmm.
and all the gamblers out there.
Oh, right.
Bet on first touchdown, or you had
Super Bowl. Yeah,
you had Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown, and he didn't get it because of that.
Mm-hmm. Or do they just say that last play has been awarded a touchdown? So whatever the play call was, whether they gave it to Saquon or whatever,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I guess there's an official score.
I hope I never have to find out.
Yeah, maybe in a couple weeks we'll realize that is illegal once again.
Yeah.
I know one team that's not going to vote for changing it.
One.
Maybe two or three, but definitely one.
Well, it's funny because at the meetings, the Eagles people were leaning on some of their coaches, some of the guys who had been in their organization,
mm-hmm.
who are now outside the organization, saying, well, this is the reason why you got your job. Like Kellen Moore. And that doesn't change things for me, though.
I mean, it's still a rule going forward.
If I were Kellen Moore, I'd be like, yeah, but if I don't like to play, I don't like to play. You guys were doing that before I got here.
I was just saying, then why'd you hire me? You didn't hire me just because I'm a great tush pusher. You were pushing tushes before I was here,
The tush push did not get me my job. It was the fact that we won the Super Bowl.
We didn't take it to a new level.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the Saints said, we're hiring you just to tush push or push tushes all day long.
You're going to come in and show us how to do the tush push.
Right. And maybe they'll be better at it than Joe Blow team, but yeah.
I don't think it's a good NFL play. I don't think it's
entertaining.
It's not entertaining at all.
That's actually my bottom line with it. I think it's potentially dangerous to quarterbacks, which is the thing we're trying to save the most. And I don't think it's entertaining to watch.
And the scrums themselves they're basically rugby.
It's very much like rugby.
I mean, you see the running back gets stood up after a 5-yard gain, and then all of a sudden here come the linemen and to push him from behind, and
mm-hmm.
It looks so exciting. It's not exciting.
Nobody ever cares about like the ref's point of view, but when do they know to blow the whistle too? Like, it's probably a difficult play for them, and spotting the football has got to be really hard because it's just so much humanity,
Yeah, and it only happens in the middle of the field. Again, I go back to the Steelers game against Kansas City when they blew that play dead to George Pickens at the end of the half.
Right.
And the defender falls off of him, and he goes running because he gets knocked off of him by one of the other would-be tacklers,
mm-hmm.
and he goes running down the sidelines, and they'd already blown the whistle. If that's in the middle of the field, they don't blow the whistle.
Mm-mm.
Because somebody might come in and push him.
Right. There's still feet moving and a lot of bodies slamming into each other.
Yeah, just it takes all the gray area out of any of those
I don't
plays.
know what would be losing as an NFL community.
Nothing.
Not really.
There were years and years where that wasn't legal.
Yeah, right.
And we can go back to that. I couldn't understand why it ever became legal because you're trying to get people as a defensive player and even the offensive player, as you can recall, like if you were standing around the pile and somebody came in and hit you, that's a foul.
Oh, yeah.
But if the runner's standing up, and you can run in and smack him as hard as you want.
Yeah, or help him.
That's not dangerous?
Right. Blast him in the lower back and push him over for the first down or whatever. You know?
Think of the John Runyon play that everybody shows. Every time John Runyon, who now works for the league, and
he dishes out the fines, I think.
Dishes out the fines.
He got a lot of them in his day, right.
And the one that they show all the time is the play where he comes running in and just drills a guy standing next to the pile.
Right.
Like, oh, you're the guy giving out the fines, and you did this.
Right.
Well, that's kind of illegal now.
Exactly. I mean, that he's not the only one that did that kind of stuff. I mean, POW inspectors was a dangerous place to be. I mean, there's no question about it. That's a kind of a scouting term for guys that get near the POW but don't really make tackles.
Showing up on film.
You show up and you're kind of there.
I was going to make that play.
I was right there. Yeah, you're a POW inspector. But the Runyons of the world will take you out.
That's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, it's a real dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
What was I saying? One other thing about the Tush Push, though. I don't know. But to me, it should go away.
I feel wholeheartedly the same way. It would not bother me one bit. And it's not anything aimed at the Eagles. I just
I don't
like to play.
I wonder, the casual fan, someone that's sort of into football, it's on, maybe they have a favorite team, whatever. Do they like that play? I bet not.
Probably.
When it's not their team involved. Like, is it entertaining to
I know who really didn't like that play a lot last year was anybody who owned Saquon Barkley in fantasy football.
There you go. Right.
He could think of the season. He would have won the MVP award.
He was tackled on the one like 12 times or something.
If he had half of the touchdowns that Jalen Hurts scored, he wins the MVP award.
Probably, yeah.
Or at least gets a lot more vote. I mean, it would have been a lot closer.
Some of it was just bad luck getting tackled on the one so much.
But
but then he probably would have get the ball.
He would have gotten the ball again
if he was a Steeler.
Yeah.
Or he would have probably gotten the ball. Or most teams, right.
Yeah.
The other thing though is it definitely, and this is more of a going for it on fourth in general, just really influences the offensive play caller's tendencies.
Yeah.
I mean, second down's really first, third down's really second. I just have to get close. I don't have to get over the line. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
For what plays you call.
And you could still,
if it's third and one, you throw a bomb.
And you can still do the quarterbacks. You can be good at the quarterbacks.
And I'm sure they'd be great at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Hurts behind that line would be really good at it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, anyways.
I do kind of hope that goes away.
Yeah, me too. Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, let's take a look at the Steelers roster as it stood to start last season.
Okay.
Compared to now.
So the out of training camp final roster, basically.
Yes.
Okay. So there's some changes that happened during the year, but
So the wide receivers going into last season were George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, Scotty Miller, Roman Wilson.
Okay.
Now you're looking at a situation where it is DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Calvin Austin, Robert Woods, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek. Got some
carryover, obviously.
Some carryover, and some other guy. We're not going to name them all.
Yeah. So I think when we do these things, you have to look at the guys that are coming back. How do you feel differently about them now than then? You got a year's worth of data. I feel a little better about Austin. I think he's progressively, not taking huge leaps and bounds, but I think most of his progression
I want to
has
say
been
he had
positive.
like 16 catches his first year. It was
Sounds about right.
2 years ago, that was really his first year in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he doubled that in his second year.
Yeah. So I think he's gotten better. I think you feel better about him no matter what role he's in than you did a year ago. Roman Wilson and Pickens are tough for me because I think Pickens is a better football player. He's a more developed route runner, and he's a better player, and that's all we're really doing here. But there are questions and volatility and all that. But I guess we're not talking about what's your long-term prognosis for this guy. Are you going to re-sign him? All those things. So I think he's a better football player than he was a year ago. Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was
another year of experience.
Yeah. I mean, that first year in particular, he was a very limited route runner. A lot of go routes, a lot of comebacks.
I don't feel any different now about Roman Wilson than I did last year at this time because he hadn't played the entire preseason.
Right. I mean, I guess, okay. I guess it depends on the timeline. It's not today. It's when they got, not the day he was drafted.
Going into the season, I'm like, I don't know what to expect from him.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't done anything in training camp.
I guess that's still the same.
That's the same.
Yeah.
And then DK Metcalf and Robert Woods and Ben Skoranek, for that matter, versus the other guys.
I mean, DK is obviously the massive, massive difference. I mean,
I can see
the receiver room's a strength now where it was a weakness.
I think they've ridiculously improved that.
Ridiculously, no question. I think Skoranek's somebody that they found that is valuable. Van Jefferson would still probably be in the mix, but would he make the team?
He would be like Robert Woods.
Yeah, I say it'd probably come down to those two,
Yeah.
and whoever brings more to the table. And Woods is just kind of a bonus prize. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure he'll make the team. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a one-year deal. You don't. There's no guarantees.
Right.
The offensive line going into last year: Broderick Jones. Is that last year or this year? That's this year. Never mind. No, that is last year. You have Broderick Jones, Dan Moore, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, James Daniels, Troy Fautanu, along with Spencer Anderson, Ryan McCollum, Mason McCormick.
So Herbig was hurt at that point.
Herbig was hurt. He was out at that point.
I was going to say they had more depth than that, but I guess not when the season opened.
Yeah. Now you're looking at, again, Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Troy Fautanu, Calvin Anderson, Spencer Anderson, Ryan McCollum, Stephen Jones, Max Sharping, and Doug Nestor.
I like the depth then better. I mean, with Daniels and Moore as starters, at that point you had a lot of young guys.
Well, let's
were
remember,
promising for depth.
Last year at that time, Spencer Anderson had never played in a game.
Okay.
Ryan McCollum had played in a game, but it was 3 years earlier for Detroit.
Yeah.
So you'd never seen him.
You feel better about both those
Mason
guys.
McCormick had never played a game.
I was definitely going to say that. You feel way better about McCormick now than then.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a starting guard. Then
Right.
it was, we'll see. But Daniels and Moore had value.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah. I
Daniels in
understand that.
particular, pre-injury, was a above-average starter.
I
in my
actually
opinion.
feel better about their depth now than I did last year going into the season with that group.
I guess it was more unproven then.
Yeah.
And it ended up proving itself.
All three of those guys, Spencer Anderson, McCollum, and McCormick, had never taken a snap in a Steelers uniform before.
I mean, you
let
definitely
alone
feel,
started a game.
even if you were super excited about Frazier then, you're more excited now.
Yeah, you
I
like
mean,
it
now
better
he's
now.
a top 5 center where you were like, I think he's going to be a good starter. Fautanu's kind of like the Roman Wilson conversation. I think that's just a wash. Have you changed your mind at all?
I feel better about him now than I did then.
On opening day?
Because he hadn't played much in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
What little he did play, I felt pretty good about.
I mean, stuff we saw at camp was great.
Yeah.
I don't know. My opinion changed. I loved him then. I love him now.
Yeah, I
You know what I
guess
mean?
that's fair.
Jones is a tough one. You would have liked to seen a bigger step forward, but that's not what the conversation is. It's where do you value, how do you perceive the player then versus now? I would say similar. I mean, I don't think he's answered the questions. He's not out of the woods of he's going to be great. And there were some ups and downs, but post-bye was a lot better than pre-bye.
Yeah, I'm not ready. There are a lot of people, he stinks. You got to get, I don't feel that way about him.
No, and I don't think they do either. I'm trying to think who
he needs to be better than what he has been, but I'm not ready to say, he's just awful.
Right. And I wasn't ready to say that then. I'm not ready to say it now. But boy, this is a pivotal year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about that, but that doesn't change what we thought of him then or now. Who else are we not talking about? I mean, like the Dylan Cooks and Sharpings and those guys probably are what they are at this point.
Yeah. But you didn't really have them on the roster at that point.
Right.
You mentioned Dylan Cook before. I mean,
you
didn't have those guys on your roster.
Right. I mean, you did find some dudes. Anderson, both Andersons in a way. One you drafted, one you found, and you're comfortable putting them in games where you didn't know that about them before. Yeah, I guess it's better now.
Slightly.
Yeah. Room for improvement.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
Depth concerns for me.
Yeah.
I mean, they could go off the rails. If Jones has a bad year and Frazier gets hurt, uh-oh.
Well, I mean, what team isn't that?
There's no question. I mean, it's a very thin position across the league.
You start losing tackles, you're in trouble.
Big time.
Looking at the tight end position, largely the same, except Michael Pruitt swapped out for Donald Parham.
Maybe I'm a little less on Hayward. I mean, I'm trying to be as nitpicky as possible. I'm definitely higher on Washington.
Feel way better about Washington than I did a year ago.
I thought he was one of the most improved players on the team. I think his numbers will never show it, but I think he's one of the harder tight ends to play against for opposing defensive coordinators across the board, no matter what style you play. Freiermuth, I'm the same on, I think. I don't think he's a lot worse. He's a lot better. I think he is what he is, and I think there's still untapped potential there.
Yeah.
More over-the-middle passing would help him, too. I mean, I think schematically things could go his way. Parham versus Pruitt, they're very different.
Yeah, very different.
Very different. I'm kind of excited to see the Parham usage, or can he block anybody? He's tall and skinny. He's gonna struggle with the power edge guys.
Yeah.
But he could be a getting away dude, and
you might not ask him to do that.
As I say, I don't know what they'll do with him. I mean, Pruitt was more somewhat fullback-ish, move all around, you know. So, I mean, that's small potatoes, though.
At running back right now, you're looking at Jaylen Warren, Caleb Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell, Cordell Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, going into the season, well, it was Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, Cordell Patterson.
Gainwell's a nice bonus that you didn't have. It would have been nice to have one more back as opposed to some of the guys they're bringing back, the undrafted dudes. Johnson's an unknown, but I think I would be higher on him now than I was Najee then. I'm not sure if I'm being fair to myself with that. You know, I mean, sitting in Latrobe talking about Najee, I mean, I wasn't saying bad things, Najee, but, you know.
And that's the conundrum with Najee Harris. Is
right.
That, okay, he went out and he put up 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
Nobody else did that over that time period.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also, you know, kind of high volume 1,000
hard-fought yards and not a lot of big plays. And right, I mean, he is what he is. And if you told me Johnson this year would be as good as Najee last year, I think I'd go fish. I'm actually hoping for better.
As good at, like somebody brought that up on the message board.
That's a real broad statement, you know.
And they said, well, you know, can he be? I said, look, if he goes out and puts up over the next 4 years 4,000-yard seasons, even if he just barely gets to 1,000 yards like Najee did in a couple, how did he get there?
And I said the eyeball test is important for me on that.
Did he get there on 225 carries? Did it take him 300? Like there's a huge difference.
Is he averaging 4.3 and breaking off some long runs? I'm sure he'll face lighter boxes than Najee did to be in Najee's corner. Right. He did not have an easy go of it. And
he did not.
You would hope Johnson has a better, more talented offensive line, certainly more talented pass catchers to aid the running game, year 2 of the system. But I think Johnson has a really good chance to be the better player for the Steelers.
Right.
You know,
I'm with you.
And you throw a little Gainwell in there, helps. You know, they didn't have that guy.
And I don't know that Patterson makes this team.
I kind of don't think he will, but he was intriguing, I guess, a year ago. You know, I was glad he was around.
Right,
as a third running back, clearly a third running back with some gadgety stuff, and didn't really come to fruition.
Yeah. The quarterbacks coming out of camp last year, of course, were Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyle Allen. Right now, it's still Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, Skylar Thompson. I think we can work on the assumption that he who shall not be named will be.
But like Howard, I mean, to really nerd out, I mean, Howard has more value than Allen.
Yes.
Thompson probably has the least value.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about the bottom of the run guys. Judging Rudolph, how I feel about him now versus how I felt about Wilson and Fields then, I was pretty optimistic about those guys. So I would give both them the nod over Rudolph, but I'm really happy he's here at the moment. Assuming another piece drops. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take the quarterback room with Rodgers over that quarterback room.
Yeah.
But I had some optimism about both Fields and Wilson, you know? I mean, it wasn't like, these guys are going to be one and done. They're not worth investing in or anything.
No, I
mean,
hear
when we
you.
broke camp.
I agree.
Is what I'm trying to think here.
I agree.
And Wilson at that point had some injury stuff. I mean, he hadn't done much.
Yeah. Moving over to the defense. Coming out of camp, your defensive line was Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, Dean Lowry, Montravius Adams, Isaiah Loudermilk. Logan Lee was
in the mix at that
in
point,
the mix,
right?
but hurt. Now you're looking at Derek Harmon, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, Isaiah Loudermilk, Yaya Black, Daniel Kale, Dean Lowry, Logan Lee. We'll see about some of the other guys there, Dominique Davis, and guys like that. But I think those are the,
if we look
the
at
key
like
guys.
top 7 versus top 7
Yeah.
type argument. So people that listen probably remember I never said anything bad about Cam Hayward, but coming out of camp, I was worried. I'm like, is this the year he gets old? I mean, he was coming off an injury-plagued season. I didn't expect him to be an all-pro in 2024, and now I'm pretty sure he's an all-pro. So my evaluation of Hayward then versus now is much rosier now, even though he's a year older.
Yeah.
I mean, just because the year he was coming off of at the time, it wasn't like he was doing much in camp or preseason either. It wasn't bull rushing guys into the court.
He was
not going to
taking
do that stuff, right?
Taking a lot of days off. And
Yeah. Even sight unseen, I'll take Harmon over Ogunjobi.
I think he'll
He's a decent player.
I think he'll make more plays.
Yeah. I mean, even the rookie version versus an aging, hard to keep on the field type guy, I'll take Harmon. Lowry's Lowry. I like Benton a little more now than then, but that was also expected. I mean,
Right.
I had high hopes, and he basically fulfilled them, so good. I always say his name wrong, but the Patriot dude they signed,
Ekulele.
He's another one, not like Parham. I put him a tier or two above him as a player. But I am kind of curious, is he going to play nose? What is it?
I said Ekulele. It's Ekwali.
Ekwali, okay, yeah. I don't know what to make of him, so he's kind of an incomplete for me, but if I'm comparing him to Loudermilk or Lowry, I like him probably better now than I did those guys then. I was an Adams fan and last season didn't go his way. I mean, 2 seasons ago I thought were really good. I thought he was one of the more underrated Steelers. So I felt really good about him leaving training camp, and that one didn't really come to fruition. Injuries had something to do with it. Lee's just like the Roman Wilson conversation.
Yeah, you just don't know.
We missing anyone?
No, I think that's it.
So I would lean towards now.
I think so.
I mean, I feel so much different about Cam. I didn't think he was, it was unbelievable last year. You know, where I thought, no, this might be the end.
Outside linebacker. Last year you had Watt, Highsmith. Still had DeMarvin Leal at that point.
I mean, he needs to be factored into this conversation somehow.
Yeah. And Nick Herbig, were your 4 outside backers coming out of camp, basically. And now it looks a little different. You got Watt and Highsmith. You also have Herbig.
Has our opinion on those 3 changed at all?
No, not a bit.
I mean, they're all 1 year older.
I actually might feel better about Herbig. I thought Herbig was better in year 2 than he had been in year 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he might be, if we're grading on a 100 scale, he might have went from an 84 to an 86. You know what I mean? Where the other 2 don't change at all. It wasn't like, boy, they're a year older, year slower. I don't see that. So that's kind of a wash.
Leal's still just don't know.
It was same.
Then you've added Jeremiah Moon and Jack Sawyer to the mix as well.
There just wasn't a Sawyer last year.
Yeah. You had to go trade for a Sawyer.
Yeah. So better now.
Okay. Inside
just
linebacker.
One more player more.
Right, yeah. Queen, Peyton Wilson, I should say. Cole Holcomb, Malik Harrison, Mark Robinson. You got Devin Harper and Carson Bruner there as well. Last year, coming out of camp, it was Queen, Landon Roberts, Peyton Wilson, Mark Robinson, and Tyler Matakevich.
Okay. So this isn't the way we should do it, but I prefer Roberts to Harrison as a linebacker.
Okay.
But I think as currently constructed, Harrison's now your 4, where Roberts was your 2 or 3.
Right.
So if we look at the depth chart, if we rank them 1 through 4, Roberts is really fighting Holcomb or Wilson. You know what I mean? And I feel better about Wilson now than then. And I think he's ready to be not just a nickel dime. I may have had higher hopes for Queen then than now. I'm not saying he had a bad year, but I thought he might be a top 5. He was coming off a Pro Bowl with the Ravens.
Right.
I probably had a higher grade. I did have a higher grade on him then than now. Doesn't mean he can't get back to that, but I thought he might be a top 5 linebacker, and he wasn't a top 5 linebacker. I still think Holcomb's good. I mean, if Holcomb's your 3,
it's not bad.
it's not bad at all. Right.
Not bad. And to me, Carson Bruner is a younger, faster version of Matakevich.
Yeah, that's going to be a wash. Mark Robinson may or may not be here, but that's a wash too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gotten a little better on defense too. I mean, he's a lifetime special teamer probably.
Probably.
But do you feel better about your top 3 today than then?
I feel
I
feel a lot better about Wilson now than I did going in. I had hopes for Wilson last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I've actually seen what it looks like, and
so I think
he's good.
I'd phrase it this way: 2024 Queen, Wilson / Roberts is your top 3. I think that's about equal to 2025 Queen, better Wilson, Holcomb, who I think is going to be backing up both guys.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a Harrison.
And you didn't
like you
have
don't
Harrison.
compare Harrison
Right.
to Roberts, you compare him to the number 4.
Yeah.
Which is a special teamer.
Which was Mark Robinson.
Which is Robinson, now he's a 5.
Yeah.
So you gained a spot on the depth chart almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like one more body there too.
Yeah.
So I guess now, but I'd like to see
It's
Queen.
close.
Yeah, Queen could be better.
At cornerback, going into last season, it was Dante Jackson, Joey Porter Jr., Corey Trice, Darius Rush with Beanie Bishop as the nickel.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., Corey Trice, James Pierre, who they added back after the season started last year, Kyler McMichael, Cameron McCutcheon, Sebastian Castro, Brandon Eccles. And then you've got
and Bishop's back.
Bishop as well.
It's close. I mean, Porter's really good.
Porter's very good, and this idea that he somehow had a down season last year, I don't get.
I wasn't going to phrase it that way, but I was going to phrase it that when we broke camp, I thought maybe he was going to be a top 5 corner.
Sure.
And he's just really good and not that yet. But that doesn't hurt his grade or make me worry about him.
We didn't know anything about Trice going into last year.
That's what I'm saying. I think just a little more knowledge is good.
Yeah.
Because he was a total unknown.
Total unknown.
I mean, he was just
He
like the
hadn't
7th
played.
round pick version.
Yeah. He hadn't played.
If we could be fair to ourselves, what was our thoughts on Jackson then versus Slay now?
I thought Jackson was going to be good.
I thought he'd be better than he was, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. But Slay's had a way better career.
Slay's had a ridiculously better career.
I mean, Slay didn't have his best year last year, but it was still a good year, and it's a better year than Jackson ever had.
Yeah.
So I'll take my chances with an older Slay than the version of Jackson we were going into with.
And I think what you didn't have last year is Eccles.
I'm saying Eccles is the bonus prize.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to, Eccles over a guy like Darius Rush, who I like Darius Rush.
We were kind of excited about him a little bit.
But
I remember talking about Rush and Trice then. If
they
either
might
one of
be,
these
they might be the answer.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? They're free. You got one for a 7th round pick, one you picked up for nothing.
You know way more now about Trice than you did
then. Yeah.
Rush, I don't even know if he's in the NFL right now.
I'm not sure if he is. Or definitely isn't guaranteed to make a team next year. And Bishop played a lot for you.
Played better than I thought he would.
Played better than you thought. I mean, we broke camp as an undrafted free agent making the team as one of the last guys on the roster. And he was more than that.
Yeah.
So better now.
Okay. Safety, you had Deshaun Elliott, Minka Fitzpatrick, Miles Killebrew, Juan Thornhill. This is what you have now. With Sebastian Castro and Joshua Bledsoe also on that roster. Last year, it was Elliott, Fitzpatrick, Miles Killebrew, DeMonte KZ, and Jalen Elliott breaking camp.
So if we go back to the Queen conversation,
I had no idea what to expect from Elliott.
Right.
I think he was better.
Way exceeded
than
expectations.
what I thought he was going to be.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's a nice pickup. He looks like an okay starter.
Yeah.
Well, he's really good now. So I feel way better about that player than I did then. I don't think any differently of Minko.
No.
I really don't. I don't care what the numbers say or any of that. I think he is one of the best safeties in the league.
And I like Thornhill's fit better than KZ's fit.
I think by a tier or two. I mean, I really don't even think that's close. And KZ was fine. We're talking about third safety.
He's not a bad player. He's just third safety.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to have to play him in the box.
No.
Whereas I can do either with Thornhill and feel fine about it.
Thornhill's more talented.
Yeah.
He's taller, he's longer, he's faster, he's more versatile. I don't know if he's as good a tackler, but if he's your third safety, that's a positive, where KZ's not on a team right now.
Yeah.
Killebrew's the same. Did have some hope for Watts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an unfortunate one. That was something I was starting to get excited about.
He wasn't on the roster when the season started last year. He was already hurt.
Oh, okay. So he doesn't count.
He didn't count.
Right. And unfortunately, when we have this same conversation, the day camp breaks in Latrobe, 3 or 4 of these dudes are going to get hurt too.
Yeah.
It's easier to say it now because everyone's healthy.
Again, that's why you build this depth.
Yeah. But they might add another body or two too.
Yeah. So
preferably a quarterback, but in addition to.
So that's what you're looking at that point.
Specialists are better now. Boz is even better than I thought he was. I think he might be the best kicker in the league.
I think that is the case.
Yeah. I was really excited about
Johnston.
But he's going to be back.
He's back.
Right. I assume he's still the same guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's
and
that.
You got Waitman floating around, who's an NFL punter.
Yeah. So anyways, that was just an interesting little aside there. Let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson, feeling better about the Steelers roster today than he did going into last season. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, I was telling you, after Friday's show, I got back home, and I've been trying. I've been in contact with the University of Iowa. I'm working on some stories on some of the draft picks, and I made the big ask: can I get Coach Ferentz on the phone?
Nice.
And
hometown guy,
6:00 on Friday, I get a call. I missed it the first time. From Iowa. Look at it. I listen to their message, and I'm like, oh, Kirk Ferentz, I missed it.
Nice, cool.
So I start texting him back. Well, he was texting me at the same time. We both hit send at the same time, and immediately my phone rings. It's Kirk Ferentz.
Cool.
And we were talking about it. We were just chatting, before we started the interview, and he's like, yeah, I started my career in 81 as a grad assistant.
81.
Grad assistant at Pitt.
Okay.
I said, I know.
So how old is he briefly?
Well, grad assistant at Pitt in 81. He's got to be
probably graduate high school, mid-70s?
Mid-70s sometime, yeah.
Okay. So he's probably like 15, 16 years older than me, I would guess. Okay. So almost 70.
But the Pitt grad assistant job.
Oh, it's a breeding ground, dude. There's been some pretty prominent dudes. I mean, John Gruden. Trying to think who some of the other ones that really went on to big things.
Narduzzi, Wanstedt, Frank Signetti Jr. was a grad assistant there.
Yeah. I was with Ben McAdoo, who ended up being the head coach for the Giants. Joe Moorhead was before me. He's the head coach at Akron now, but he was offense coordinator at Penn State. Go Zips, and it did some big things at Oregon too. I know I'm missing a ton of them.
Oh, there's been a bunch, and you can't necessarily find that information anywhere because they don't really keep track of the grad assistants.
But that's a pretty long list. I mean, I'm well down the most successful by about a bazillion. Well, one, though, is Steelers' new linebacker coach, McCurley. Scott McCurley.
Scott McCurley, yeah.
Scott and I had overlapped briefly there, him as a player, and then he also GA'd at Pitt, too. So, yeah, it's a breeding ground for...
Those guys have all gone on to great things.
One of these things is not like the other.
You're here with me.
Here we sit.
Doing even better things.
Oh, yeah. So what did Coach Ferentz have to say?
Oh, we just talked about...
I'm sure you talked about all three of those dudes, right?
Yeah, we talked about Sebastian Casher. We also talked about Logan Lee.
Okay.
And,
makes sense.
The thing that I commented to him about, I was like, the interesting thing about all four of those guys, none of them transferred.
Yeah.
They were all Iowa guys from the start of their
careers,
they didn't transfer in
all the way
or
through.
Out. Yeah. No, they were all Iowa guys.
So rare now.
The whole time. It just doesn't happen.
I think that's actually kind of an Iowa thing. I mean, the more I think about it, it's even like their most recent guys weren't at 3 different schools. They haven't had a quarterback forever.
It's really kind of, if you start looking at the Steelers draft class as a whole, Sawyer was an Ohio State guy from
From the start.
From the start.
Yeah.
Harmon, even though he transferred, he didn't want to transfer.
Right.
Until his mom said, no, go ahead. He wanted to stay at home near his mom.
Extenuating circumstances, right.
He would have just stayed at Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
And even Howard, he was a grad transfer.
Yeah.
He spent 4 years at K-State.
He
graduated. He did his time there.
Right. That's interesting.
And
Bruner didn't
transfer, and even the Kent,
Caleb Johnson, Kent didn't. Right.
They were all guys that stayed pretty much at one school the whole way through, other than Howard transferring and Harmon transferring. That was it.
McCormick could have many times. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I've been kind of putting some extra effort into Omar draft trends. Now we have 3 of them, and the 3 big ones are big schools, in for visits, high spark guys. Workout numbers.
Yeah.
And then someone corrected me, and they're like, "You might want to throw national champions on there too." He's
drafted
a lot of national champions, including 2 this year. But I wonder if non-transfers is also somewhat of a trend.
I get guys that spend a long time. Like, I don't know that
compared to other 31 teams.
Yeah, I don't know that
there's so many transfers.
The guys that are jumping around left and right all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If I were looking at that, I don't know that I would be as high on them. Like, I get it, you transfer once, maybe the coach left or something. That's
different to leave incarnate word.
Right. Well, that's what happened. Like, Walter Nolan left A&M when the coach left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it.
I always felt
the
for
guy
the
who recruited
that.
The guy who recruited you there is gone. All right, I'm going to go somewhere else.
I mean, my GA days, I was old school. You go in there, promise the parents, we're here forever. We want your kid to graduate, and then the coach leaves next year.
Yeah, the guys who transfer like 3 or 4 times in their career because they're chasing $1.
Yeah, that part I don't love.
Yeah,
and again, I mean, we've talked about this too. Scouting's changed so much that you go back to the school that they left. Are they always going to talk well about you if you're not there?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Or you have more teammates, you have more coaches, you have more people you interact with. Like in the coaching world, getting fired isn't necessarily bad because then you get to work with a whole new 12 guys or 15 guys, assuming you get hired again. I never got hired again. I actually never tried, to be honest. But getting fired wasn't necessarily bad. It's just networking,
right?
But networking could be bad in these instances too. Like he was only here for the money, and he took off in 1 year to go to Ohio State, win a national championship.
Right.
I don't want a mercenary.
Anyways, I just thought that was interesting. It hit me when I was talking to him. We started talking about all 4 of those guys. I'm like, those guys were all homegrown.
All homegrown. Interesting.
So, anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, time for a little fantasy football focus here. Looking at Pro Football Focus's quarterback rankings.
Okay. I'm in my first rookie draft started this morning in Dynasty. I am on the clock.
Wow.
Yeah. Picking number 5 in Superflex.
Okay.
Hoping somebody offers me a trade. If you're listening, offer me a trade. I'm trying to get out.
So we're going to look at the quarterbacks here first.
All right. I don't know what to do a quarterback. I want to preface this because
let's go through these and we'll talk about it when we get to the lay of the land.
An overview of it though is I was listening to a podcast I really enjoyed. The Underdog podcast is really good, and they were breaking down quarterbacks, and they're saying
they play the Underdog theme when they.
They should. But they're saying the best value over the years is taking the Allens, the Lamars. But then I'm sitting there listening for the first time, like their top 25, which we'll probably get to. And I'm like, I can live with that guy at 12, 13, 14, 15. Like there's a lot to pick from at this position.
So right now, they've got Josh Allen ranked number 1. His ADP is 19.2.
Okay.
So you're taking him at the end of round 2.
Okay. That's richer than I think they were talking about.
Yeah. They've got Lamar ranked number 2. His ADP is actually 18.5. So you got to take him.
Who do you pick of those 2?
Neither one, because I'm not taking a quarterback that early.
I didn't say that's rich for one thing.
Ever.
Who's your one? There's a stat I saw on Lamar, which is really, really unlikely to replicate itself, is a really high, an ungodly high percentage of his pass attempts were touchdowns this last year.
Yeah.
Like that probably won't keep.
Probably
up.
not.
Right.
Probably not. I would probably still go Allen just because of the safeness of it all.
I think Henry's a problem.
He is, and
Lamar overcomes it. I mean, we're talking about the best guy.
I mean, let's not forget that just a couple, like going into last year was one of the issues with Lamar. Well, he gets nicked up here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
He's still a race car.
Are they definitely your top two?
Well, let's talk about
Okay. There's some other
guys.
real good ones.
We'll get through this whole thing here. Don't
I know.
get ahead of it. They've actually got Jaden Daniels as number 3. Average
I get it.
ADP is 23.7, so you're taking him on the turn.
Well, I'm not saying I'm taking them at their value, but I'm just, in terms of my vertical board, he would be my 3. I mean, I do worry sophomore slump. We saw this with Stroud. Yeah. More information out there. But
he's got a cheat code, though.
He's got a cheat code. And think of their acquisitions. I mean, Tunsil, their first-round pick was a tackle. They drafted a receiver in the 3rd round, the Virginia Tech kid, but that doesn't really matter. They added Debo. Like, the people around him are definitely better.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts is 4.
Yes.
At 25.9.
Would a rule change?
Rule change would definitely affect that.
And go back to segment 1, folks.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, he might still get some.
He's still going to run, and he's going to get in the end zone. Right.
Yeah.
But they don't ever throw the ball.
They do not.
Like, if we ever
they just shut it down in the second half of games.
Like, Devontae and A.J. Brown are hard to buy at cost because they don't get targets.
Joe Burrow. They've got him at 54 overall on their rankings. His ADP is 33.4.
They throw so much. And when they get in the red zone, they throw to those 2 receivers.
Yeah.
So much. He'll give you a little bit on the ground. He would clearly be behind those 4 for me.
Yeah. But then there's a separation between him and the next guy, which is Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's 73rd on their overall rankings, 55.9 ADP.
See, he only runs in Super Bowls and big games.
Yeah.
I mean, he can, but he doesn't even sneak. I mean, it's obviously scripted, game planned. You're not running. You're too important. He'll throw it away before he runs. So he ends up with very few rushing yards for fantasy.
They didn't do much to help the running game.
No.
But
at least the line's in way better shape.
Right after Mahomes is Baker Mayfield at 99 overall, 76 ADP.
No, there's going to be names I like better than that. His receivers are awesome. He runs more than you think. But they're still kind of a run-first team.
I don't have a problem with him being QB7.
I guess I'll have to hear who 8, 9, 10 are, but I bet there's names I like better.
Their QB8 is Bo Flippin' Nix.
He wouldn't be mine.
At 101
yeah.
overall, 93.1 on the ADP.
He'd be last of the guys we've talked about.
Yeah. Now, he runs a little bit, but
he does.
But that's not what he does best.
But they're going to be run first, too.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to be a high-volume passing game.
103, Brock Purdy is QB9. His ADP is 93.8.
He was high on the underdog list, too, and I can't get there with that either.
I don't get it.
I like the guys that they're much cheaper. The names we have not brought up, way more than this. I don't like this tier at all.
105 is Kyler Murray as QB10, ADP of 102.6.
He's such a tease. I mean, I targeted him a lot last year, but he doesn't run quite as much as you think. He's not as efficient as you think, but he is close. I mean, he could break out. They didn't do anything to really help him. I might take him over the Purdys of the world, though.
106 overall, Justin Fields, no ADP right now.
Okay, this sounds nuts. I would take Fields right behind Burrow. Fields versus Mahomes is tough, but Fields versus Purdy and those guys isn't tough at all. And I don't even care if he's good. I mean, legendarily, I went down with the Anthony Richardson ship last year.
If I take Fields, though, I better make sure I have a good backup.
100%.
Because he's going to miss some time.
Yeah. I mean, I want Trevor Lawrence or Stroud or Love or somebody we haven't brought up that's good. That is not getting benched, is a solid player.
Yeah.
But I think they're planning on, all indications that they plan on running him a ton.
Yeah.
And they would improve their line. They don't really have receivers. I mean, it's all about the cheat code. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be the best quarterback in the league.
108 and ADP of 113.2 is Justin Herbert.
Way better NFL player
I don't know if
than
I can
Fan
go
is.
there.
I don't either.
I would rather. There's some of these guys behind him. I would rather
the next
have.
group are still pretty good.
Yeah, because they're not. The volume's just not going to be there.
No, the receivers aren't great. I'm not big on. I mean, they drafted a running back in the first round and signed Najee.
109 overall. Caleb Williams, no ADP.
See, I'm kind of buying
QB
in.
13.
I don't love the player, but I love the coach and I love the offseason. I mean, they just gave him a whole new interior O-line. They drafted a tackle in the second round, first round tight end, and a second round Luther Burden. Like, his supporting cast is pretty awesome. And I think Johnson is a heck of an offensive coach. I don't know if he's a good head coach, but I would go down swinging with Caleb Williams for fantasy.
I might rather have some of these guys right after him.
I do like a lot of names coming up.
QB 14 is Jordan Love.
Yeah, he should be higher than. I mean, what's Love versus Purdy? They're kind of the same to me. I might prefer Love.
I won the championship last year with Love in our league.
Mm-hmm. I think he's a better football player.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be some ups and downs, but he runs.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a good offense.
Yeah, first round receiver.
Yeah. QB 15 is Jared Goff.
There's another name that's still coming that I think is way too low. I think Goff's still too low.
He's pretty solid.
He's real solid. How much different is he than Mayfield? Mayfield's going to give you 300 more rushing yards, maybe. At most. 200 more.
But they're going to throw a similar number to touchdown passes.
I would say touchdown passes is a coin flip to me.
Yeah. QB 16 at 125 overall is Drake May.
He's set up for fantasy greatness for me, too.
He just doesn't have any receivers.
I think Diggs is going to be okay, and I think Williams is going to be okay. And I think Henderson's a very quarterback-friendly addition. Like, just points per game, May was really good last year.
I understand. He ran a lot, though, because he
runs a lot.
Being chased.
That's what I love.
Running for his life.
I know. He's another one I want a good backup. Or, well, maybe he's a backup.
Yeah.
I better have somebody safe.
129, QB 17, Dak Prescott.
That's what he is now. I mean, he never runs anymore.
Yeah.
He has one receiver. They drafted a guard in the first round. They're going to run the ball.
QB 18 at 130, CJ Stroud.
That's a name I don't know why it's so low. I mean, he has 4 really exciting receivers. The O-line is totally different, and maybe it's bad still, but it's going to be better. New coordinator. I think he's a star. He doesn't run, but I'll take him over Purdy, who's like 7 or 8.
QB 19 is Tua Tagovailoa.
He's not for me. I think it's a declining team, no run.
They might have to throw a lot, though.
Yeah. I mean, his weapons are still dangerous.
Yeah. QB 20 is Trevor Lawrence.
I would have him higher. Again, I trust the coach and I trust Hunter.
This is one. This is purely based on who's around him. QB 21 is J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. I think Darnold ended up like QB 7.
McCarthy's not going to be.
He's going to be
QB7.
less than
He's
that.
Be less than that.
But I think that's the logic behind putting him this high.
Yeah.
Situation's really good.
QB 22 is Matthew Stafford.
Take Stafford or Goff. I'd prefer Goff.
I prefer Goff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more trustworthy. But they're in the same neighborhood.
Same tier. QB 23 is Michael Penix.
He doesn't run as much as you think.
No.
He's not fast, but he doesn't.
Got good weapons, though.
Yeah, and he's aggressive.
Yeah.
He throws. I mean, I like having receiving backs for these young guys, too. I mentioned Henderson. Bijan.
Bijan's pretty
He's going to
good.
flip at the Bijan a few times that are going to end up a lot of yards when it's all said and done.
This is a bit of a stretch here, Reach. QB 24 is Cam Ward.
That is a bit of a reach. Yeah. I mean, how many rushing yards is he going to have? 300? Not a ton.
Yeah. And the receivers aren't great.
They're not great.
QB 25, Anthony Richardson.
If he's a starter.
I don't want to touch him. I didn't want to touch him last year when he was QB 6, which I thought was ridiculous.
I was such a fan last year for fantasy. He's as good a runner as there is in the league.
He can't stay healthy, though.
I know. The last year wasn't too bad with that.
There was games where the Steeler game. He's in, he's out. He's in, he's out.
I think he's only attempted
He taps out.
400 passes in his NFL
ridiculous.
career. I mean, it's such a weird career. If he's named a starter, though, he has to be in fantasy leagues.
This next guy might be my sleeper. QB 26, Bryce Young.
It's not bad.
I think the weapons are better. I think he's going to be better than some of these guys ahead of him. The defense is awful.
When he got reinserted in the lineup, I think he was like fantasy quarterback 14-ish from that point on. Something like that.
That's where I would have him at.
Yeah.
Because they have to throw. They can't stop anybody.
I'd say he's going to throw a lot. He doesn't run a ton.
Okay.
But they're going to throw the middle of the field. You add McMillan. Coker's good. I mean, guys like that aren't bad.
QB 27 is Geno Smith with the Raiders.
They're going to be really run heavy, and he doesn't run at all.
QB 28 is Sam Darnold.
Do you think Milroe comes in and plays? I think they mentioned they want to get him involved early, which makes Darnold to me a borderline backup.
But Milroe's never going to. All he's going to do is come in and run.
I know, but I don't want him taking 3 or 4 touchdowns away from him over the course of the year.
I just don't love the situation.
I don't love the situation to begin with.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negatives to cite before you get to Milroe.
QB 29 is Russell Wilson.
How long will he be the quarterback? That's about where he belongs.
QB 30, Aaron Rodgers.
I'd have Rodgers over Wilson. Be nice to know his team, but I assume they're implying he's going to be an NFL player.
Yes. I'd have him higher than that.
I would too.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. He's not going to run ever.
He's going to have better numbers than Geno Smith.
I would say so. I would say so.
Yeah. I mean, Geno Smith threw 15 touchdowns last year.
Did he really? Wild slow.
Aaron Rodgers throws touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
QB 31, Derek Carr.
I think Shuck's going to be the starter.
I think Carr might
get healthy all of a sudden.
Oh, my arm.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's feeling better now.
Yeah, that's possible.
QB 32 is Kenny Pickett.
So they're implying he's a starter.
Well, they're close. You got Flacco right behind him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would take like Daniel Jones over those guys.
QB 33 is Mason Rudolph with Flacco right behind him. Shuck is 35. Daniel Jones is 36.
This is all who gets the start type of thing.
Yeah.
If Daniel Jones is a starter of the Colts, he goes to 15 on my list.
Yeah, but I
don't know how long he'll be the starter.
Yeah, does he win the job at a training camp and they stick with him and they say, okay, we're done with the Richardson experiment? Or,
I mean, truthfully, I think they go 2 weeks with this guy being the starter and then 4 weeks with this guy being the starter.
I think it goes back and forth like a yo-yo.
But I wouldn't mind taking, if Jones is named the starter and on the day of your draft, I'll definitely take him as a backup.
Yeah.
Because if he gets benched, it's not hard to find, then you pick up Richardson. It's not hard to find a backup quarterback.
Looking at the list as a whole, I might be more inclined to take an Allen or Jackson.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, I like some values of where there's
some good values, but I'm like
Mahomes
it falls off pretty quickly.
It falls off real quick. Like Mahomes could throw for 40 touchdowns any year.
Yeah,
he's 6, I think, on that.
Yeah,
list,
Burrow
right?
could do the same thing.
I think Burrow has a better chance to do it than Mahomes.
Yeah. Is Kyler Murray going to do that? No.
But from like 7 to 12 on that list,
I hate that range.
And they wouldn't be my 7 to 12.
They wouldn't be mine either. I'd Love and Goff and some of those guys.
Yeah.
But even at that,
you're such a disadvantage when you play Hurts and Lamar.
You
play those guys half your game.
You better have won the first few rounds of your draft and really loaded up on studs.
Your second round running back better not have got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you're such a disadvantage at that position against those top guys.
Well, think about this. So a guy in our league last year, the league that we're both in, took Lamar, and he also got Henry.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he was extremely Raven-centric with his offense, and he had a really good regular season record.
Yeah.
Now, I caught him at the end of the season. He was in my division and won the division title, but he made it to the semifinals.
I mean, it's great offense, and they didn't hurt each other at all.
Yeah, that can carry you.
I mean, if you had Hurts and Barkley, you'd be just as happy.
Right.
Right. No question. Or Allen and Cook last year. I don't think Cook's going to score 15 touchdowns or whatever.
Probably not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would pay for one of the top couple, and that my thoughts might 100% change.
It could change, yeah.
End of the second round's rich. I'd much rather be a buyer in the third.
Yeah.
But give me a receiver and a running back, and then I'm taking Lamar or someone like that.
Right.
You know, Daniels. Maybe I wouldn't be the first quarterback off the board.
Or if I were on, if I were on the turn, okay, I get the number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I get Saquon Barkley
or somebody like that.
And now I take one of those guys.
Well, you're not going to get him 24 picks later.
Right. And I get a good wide receiver to start my team off with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling okay about that.
That wouldn't be a bad build. I mean, I don't know who would be receiver at the 24th pick. I mean, if it's Barkley, London, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Someone's good.
Yeah.
Allen. Or even Daniels. Maybe you don't get QB1, but you get 2 or 3. It's pretty strong.
Not a bad build.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah.
I could live with that.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for the Fantasy Football Focus. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. We'll go through all the positions this week.
Yeah, cool.
Get everybody ready for their fantasy drafts when they're coming up. See what Matt drafted here in his dynasty draft. Anyways, we'll be back with more on The Drive right after this. And welcome back to The Drive. I'm Dale Lolley. He is Matt Williamson. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday right here on these very airwaves. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and get it there. All the other good stuff that's on the Steelers mobile app. You can also watch or listen along on our YouTube channel and leave us comments there. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. Matt, looking here, sticking with the Pro Football Focus stuff here, they have a list here of offensive and defensive rookies who could be in line to start this season.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So they've broken them down into virtual locks on the cusp of starting and could win a competition.
Okay. And they do offensive and defensive.
Offensive and defensive. So the virtual locks on offense to start. Cam Ward with the Titans.
They say that's a 50-50 competition, but that's
not true.
A load of
Travis Hunter with the Jaguars.
Sure.
Offensive tackle Will Campbell with the Patriots.
Got to be.
Ashton Genty with the Raiders.
That's the most slam dunk of all of them.
Tet McMillan with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. Offensive tackle is Armand Bembo with the Jets and Kelvin Banks with the Saints.
Okay. I mean, all high picks, of course.
Yeah.
But, right.
Guard Tyler Booker with the Cowboys.
Yeah, there's a plug-and-play spot for him, right?
Tight end Tyler Worm with the Colts.
You would hope, sure.
Offensive lineman Gray Zabel with the Seahawks.
Interesting they didn't have Loveland, though.
They did not.
And it sounds like they're going by the order of what they picked. Zabel's going to start somewhere in the interior.
Guard Donovan Jackson with the Vikings.
Yeah, there was one spot left on the O-line.
And wide receiver Jaden Higgins with the Texans.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I mean, if we go 3 wide, everyone forgets they have Christian Kirk.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Nico's a superstar. I think Kirk's ahead of both rookies.
I would think so.
And then I think the Iowa State guys fight for number 3.
Yeah.
And they're so different. So, interesting note on this is I think Higgins, a lot of people inappropriately look at Higgins as he's a Nico clone. That's not how they're going to use him. Yeah. They're going to use him as a Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Rams-like offense. He's going to be a power slot, where Knoll is the vertical slot. So I think the 2 guys on the outside are always going to be the same. And Kirk can be a slot too. But I think in 2 receiver sets, it's going to be Kirk. 3 receiver sets, depending what you want, I think it's one of the 2 Iowa State guys.
Yeah.
So I would
not
not
put
him
as a lock.
No, not at all.
Guys who are on the cusp of starting. Tight end Colston Loveland with the Bears.
Sure. But it might only be 2 tight end sets.
Yeah. Wide receiver Luther Burden with the Bears.
They seem really down on DJ Moore
and
some of his effort stuff last year. And I think that they are looking – I'm warming up to Burden more and more. And this is more of like dynasty fantasy stuff that I think they're kind of looking at him like he's Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he's that guy either. I think he's more of the after-the-catch guy, which is the DJ Moore spot. But I'm curious because I think they still love Odunze too.
Running back Amarian Hampton with the Chargers.
Fair. I mean, you draft a first-round running back.
Wide receiver Matthew Golden with the Packers.
Yeah.
Offensive tackle Josh Connerly with the Commanders.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. He's
not going to be left.
Start. Yeah.
I mean, he's a left at Oregon. He's not super strong. He could be a redshirt year. I mean, their other tackles weren't horrible last year.
Yeah.
The TCU kid, and
offensive lineman Jonas Ivania with the Dolphins.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
I think they plug and play him, especially if Daniels can't go right away.
Tight end Mason Taylor with the Jets.
Yeah, there's no competition.
Wide receiver Jack Beck with the Raiders.
Possibly. That's maybe a little rich. I mean,
I don't know that he starts right out of the gate.
who would be the other one other than Myers?
The guy that he emerged late last year.
Douglas?
After they traded Adams. He'd been with him a couple of years. He had some good games down the stretch.
I think I know who you're talking about too. It's not the most difficult hurdle to get over, but he seems more like a third guy to me.
Yeah.
Bash.
And then running back R.J. Harvey with the Broncos. I would say have him in the
pretty high up. He has nothing to fight with.
Could win a competition.
Okay.
It's a big group. Wide receiver Emeka Egbuka with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, but that's for the 3 job.
That's for the 3. Offensive tackle Josh Simmons with the Chiefs. I don't see that happening.
He'd have to be very healthy to start.
Right. Quinshaw Junkins with the Browns.
I think he's more like a starter from day one.
Dylan Sampson with the Browns. They both can't start.
No.
Yeah. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel with the Browns. No, that's not happening.
Can't imagine him being the opening day starter.
Shador Sanders with the Browns.
I think he has a better chance than Gabriel. I
don't
still think it's going to be Pickett or Flacco.
Yeah.
Right.
Tyler Shuck with the Saints.
Very good chance if Carr's not in the mix.
Ariante Ursary with the Texans at tackle.
Ooh, I think he's going to need some time.
Wide receiver Trey Harris with the Chargers.
Possibly.
Offensive tackle Ozzie Trapillo with the Bears.
I think that's a next year pick.
Yeah. Guard Tate Ratledge with the Lions.
I liked him a lot coming out, but he's still really raw.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a couple dudes that are going to be ahead of him.
Wide receiver Kyle Williams with the Patriots.
That's a real good chance, I think.
Guard Dylan Fairchild with the Bengals.
Both those Georgia guys might need time, but he has less competition than Cincy.
Running back Caleb Johnson with the Steelers.
Definitely.
Center Jared Wilson with the Patriots.
Yeah, but they had the smaller dude from Minnesota is kind of a spot starter.
Yeah.
It won't be easy to – he's a part-timer probably, but they're a short-timer.
Wide receiver Chimere Dyke with the Titans.
Possibly. Weird receiver room. I guess Ridley's the only one really guaranteed a starter.
Wide receiver
Lockett's still ahead of him, too.
Elike Umanor with the Titans as well. And then running back Cam Scatabo with the Giants.
At best, I think Scadabo's a 50-50 guy.
Yeah.
Like in the fantasy world, you'd take Tracy over Scadabo, right?
Yes.
I would too.
On the defensive side of things, the locks. I don't know if this is a lock. Edge Abdul Carter with the Giants.
No, he could be situational.
He could be a situational guy.
Yeah. I mean, is he better than Thibodeau today?
Defensive lineman Mason Graham with the Browns.
Yeah, I would hope.
Edge rusher Michael Williams with the 49ers.
Yeah, the Niners guys don't have a lot of competition.
Kenneth Grant with the Dolphins.
Yeah, their D-tackle room's pretty light.
Linebacker Jalen Walker with the Falcons.
He's situational probably too, though. I mean,
but they have him out there full time.
Him and Pierce just are small.
He can play off the ball, though.
I would say, do they have him play linebacker, or what do they do with him?
Cornerback Jahdae Barron with the Broncos.
Yeah, but it might be a nickel.
Might be the nickel.
Right. Probably will be.
Edge rusher James Pierce with the Falcons.
Situational, though.
They traded a first-round future
Better
first for him. They better use him. Safety Malachi Starks with the Ravens.
I would say that's a yes.
Cornerback Maxwell Hairston with the Bills.
I would think.
And cornerback Will Johnson with the Cardinals.
If the knee's okay.
Yeah. Guys who are on the cusp. Edge Shamar Stewart with the Bengals.
Yeah. I mean, he's not fighting a lot of competition, but is he going to establish himself as a starter?
Linebacker Jihad Campbell with the Eagles.
Next to Bond, yeah.
Defensive lineman Alfred Collins with the 49ers.
Okay. There's a run stuffer, early down player.
Linebacker Demetrius Knight with the Bengals.
I think that's why you draft him. He's a 6-year guy. I think they draft him to be a plug-and-play guy. It's not for upside.
Yeah.
I would be very uncomfortable with that.
Cornerback Trey Amos with the Commanders.
Possibly, yeah.
And
They
safety
got him late.
Xavier Watts with the Falcons.
Also traded up for him, too.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the beauties of him is he's pretty NFL ready.
Could win a competition, guys. Defensive lineman Walter Nolan with the Cardinals. Well, I would hope he would win the competition.
Yeah, they got like 10 defensive linemen, though. I mean,
Okay.
but you would think he's heavily in the mix.
Linebacker Carson Schlesinger with the Browns.
Now, that one better be a slam dunk.
What competition is there?
You're right. That better be a slam dunk.
Safety Nick Emuari with the Seahawks.
Similar situation, right. You
Edge-
trade up for that guy.
yeah.
I mean,
Edge rusher Donovan Azareku. Where do you end
yeah,
up?
but I don't. Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas, because they list him as Boston College. I don't think he's there anymore.
No. I don't know if he'll be an every down player for them, though.
I don't think so. Safety Andrew Makuba with the Eagles.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the Gardner Johnson type.
Defensive lineman Darius Alexander with the Giants.
I don't know if he'll be the 2 right away next to Lawrence, but he'll be in the rotation.
Cornerback Darian Porter with the Raiders.
He's not ready to be a starter.
No.
I mean, he's just an athlete.
Linebacker Nick Martin with the 49ers.
You would hope not. I mean, they used a 3rd-round pick on him.
Yeah.
They overdrafted a lot of guys.
Safety Kevin Winston with the Titans.
Yeah. I'm assuming he's over the injury by camp and all that stuff.
Cornerback Jacob Parrish with the Buccaneers.
Maybe, because they also drafted Morrison ahead of him, but I would think Parrish has a better chance to be a day 1 contributor.
Nose tackle Jamari Caldwell with the Chargers.
Yeah, Poona Ford's gone.
Yeah. Safety Caleb Ransaw with the Jaguars.
I guess. Cisco's gone.
Defensive lineman C.J. West with the 49ers.
I don't know if can Williams, Alfred Collins, and
both,
West
yeah,
all be
they all
starters.
can't start.
And
If they do,
I mean, it's only going to be early downs for West and Collins anyway.
linebacker Cody Simon with the Cardinals.
Maybe he can come down and play on the line of scrimmage a little bit too.
Safety Latham Ransom with the Panthers.
It's not a very good safety room. So,
Yeah. And linebacker Chris Paul with the Rams.
Yeah, their linebacker room is real bad.
One guy's missing on here. Where's Derek Harmon?
Yeah, I guess it depends what they call a starter.
He's going to be
because a lot of these
he's going to be a
guys,
starter. If he is not in their a starter in their 3-4 defense.
Yeah.
On opening day.
Because there's a lot of nickelbacks in there, like Barron's a first-round pick, and they call him a starter. Is a starter in nickel? I think he's got a great chance.
If you're going to list all these other nose tackles on there, though.
Right. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on there, because I would think he's your 3-4 end.
Yeah, which means he's a starter.
And I think he's in the last category for nickel and dime stuff.
I think he's at
I think
least
he's
on
in the competition for that stuff.
I think he's on the cusp.
Yeah.
In fact, I might even have him as virtual lock.
Yeah.
You tell me if he can't beat out Isaiah Loudermilk?
Lowry and those dudes, right.
Come on, man.
Right. Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, if you're going to have like West and Collins on there as early down guys in base defense, then he should absolutely be in there. Any other Steelers?
That was it.
I mean, is there any other Steelers that should be? I mean, they didn't have a second-round pick.
Starters.
No.
I mean, Sawyer's not going to be
got
a
no
starter.
Chance. Right, he's got no chance. Howard's got no chance.
Yeah, if Sawyer's starting, things went bad.
Real bad. I mean, that's an injury thing.
Yeah.
If Howard's starting, either things went extremely good, like, oh my gosh, who is this guy we found out of nowhere, or the certain guys staying retired, you know. But no, those are the only two.
Yeah, Black is not going to be a starter.
No. There's no way he outsnaps Harmon.
No.
And Johnson should be highest on the list.
Yeah.
And then Harmon, and then everybody else.
Actually, to me, Harmon should be higher than Johnson. I could create a world where they come out in the opening series of every game. Jaylen Warren is the quote unquote starter. They did it with Najee Harris last year.
Like the
last 2 years.
When they run out of the tunnel and they announce the starters, Harmon has a better chance to have his name called than Johnson.
I would agree.
Especially week 1.
Yeah.
And probably the whole stretch, as long as Warren's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that Johnson's not going to play a lot. But
who plays more snaps this year between those two? That's going to be close.
That'll be close.
I mean, running backs are not going to be out there
full-time
all the time anyway. And Gainwell's going to play.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know how much Patterson will get backfield snaps, if any. But Harmon's going to be out there a fair amount.
Yeah.
They'll be close. They're probably both 600 snap guys, something like that.
I'm just kind of surprised they didn't mention him at all.
At all. I'm wondering how many other first-round picks.
Every other first-round pick, I think, was pretty much mentioned.
Right, unless you're like
Except
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else should be. I mean, first-round picks always start.
Not always.
But yeah.
They're at least in the mix.
Yeah, they're definitely listed there.
Yeah.
They're drafted for a reason.
Right. Anyways, I just thought that was, I mean, you listed all Dylan Gabriel, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Could win a competition.
He could be fourth.
He could be cut.
He could be cut. Which makes that pick space crazy. Right.
Yeah.
Are you keeping 4? Yeah.
Yeah, right. They have never cut a draft pick under Andrew Berry.
Really? Okay.
That could change this year.
Yeah. They haven't made a lot lately.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back to finish up the show right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, the Ravens had their rookie minicamp over the weekend.
Oh, did they?
And they did it must have been just a regular OTA session because a lot of their veterans were there and things of that nature. So Justin Tucker has been in the building.
There was some news, yeah.
And John Harbaugh was asked about, what's going on a kicker. You drafted a kicker.
Right. That raises an eyebrow.
He said every decision we make has to be based on football. There's a lot of layers to that. You've got a rookie kicker, and you took him in the 6th round, early in the 6th round. He's a talented guy just from a football standpoint, salary cap, all the different things that you take into consideration. Whatever we decide to do over the next few weeks will be based on football. Yeah.
I was going to say,
if Justin Tucker isn't accused of inappropriate behavior by 16 different massage therapists, do they draft a kicker?
I think the answer is yes.
It might be yes.
He was terrible last year, and he's expensive. Before I knew he got in trouble, week 12 of last year, I didn't think he was going to be back.
The funny thing about that whole thing to me, it was awfully convenient that all that stuff just happened to come out.
During the only bad season he's ever had?
At the end of the only bad season. It all comes out after he had his bad season.
Because it didn't all happen after week 3 last year.
And it had been years in the making.
Right. They're extreme. They're the most media-savvy team out there. And not accusing the rivals of anything, but that is awfully convenient. I do think they would have drafted a kicker no matter what, because I don't think he's worth the money to be one of the most expensive kickers in the league at his age for that performance. But what I don't like, and I have great respect for Harbaugh, it's not all about football.
It's not all about football.
I mean, when you cut Ray Rice, it wasn't all about football.
Right.
I mean, they're not the only team that have off-the-field issue things that they had to deal with. I mean, Steelers have had some. Everybody's had some. It's not all about football. If it was all about football, the best players, regardless of their behavior off the field, would be the first picks in the draft. That's not how it goes.
So Tucker last year,
would their second-round pick have lasted the second round if it was all about football?
No.
Mike Green?
Absolutely not. So he was 11 of 11 inside of 40 yards last year.
Tucker?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was 5 of 8 from 40 to 49 yards, 6 of 11 from 50 plus.
Mm-hmm.
He had a bad year for him.
He had a bad year, right. It's not the worst year in kicker history.
It's not the worst year. Yeah, but the way that they play,
I would say that his coaching changed with Tucker. It used to be as soon as they passed midfield, I'll trot him out there no matter what, and you're getting 3. Not anymore.
Now, in the past 2 seasons, you could make the argument he is now 7 for 16 from 50 plus in the last 2 seasons.
And now kickers make it from 50 plus way more than they did when he was a rookie or whatever.
In 2022, for example, he was 9 of 14 from 50 and beyond.
Okay.
They tried him 14 times
in
one season.
Oh, you're saying the attempts were way different.
Yeah.
Because they trusted him more.
They trusted him more. He's not that guy anymore.
No.
But, we just saw Adam he's 35 years old. We saw Adam Vinatieri kick until he was in his early 40s.
Well, in his 40s, right. I was also in a dome. He didn't kick off.
Right.
Right.
I just don't tell me it's all about football.
That's a problem. I have a problem. That's the statement. That's the first thing that came out of his mouth is all about football. I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah. Everything else he said after that's fine. Salary cap and all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
That stuff
I get
matters,
it. If he's too expensive to keep at this, based on this.
Right.
My question to you is, has Tucker hurt his Hall of Fame?
By the letter of the law, he shouldn't.
I'm not talking about the off-the-field stuff.
Oh.
I'm talking about his play on the field. Has these last couple of seasons, he hasn't made over 90% of his. He's made over 90% of his kicks once in the last 5 years.
I mean, I know that we've gone through this because Boswell is very much in the equation. Just lifetime field goal percentage, he's not as dominant as he was.
It's not. Like other guys, like they had passed him at different points last year. Now he's not number one again right now.
Yeah.
But he's at 89.1. It's not as dominant as it was, and there are a bunch of kickers, including Boswell, who are at 88% and better for their careers.
Especially at that position. But I think it's true for all Hall of Fame. I'm really concerned with what you did against your peers of your time. You know, like, yeah, he should be more accurate than Jan Stenerud.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like
it's changed.
Or the Tom Dempsey that had half a foot, you know, or Mark Mosley that kicked straight on. They were all like their best kickers of their generation. But they were like 70% guys, and they'd take 2 attempts from 50. Times have changed. But for the majority of his career, I think he was clearly the best or a top 2 guy, like a Julio Jones or whoever, you know, whoever's Aaron Donald or whoever. It was clearly a long stretch of dominance. But these last couple of years are kind of like Russell Wilson leaving Seattle. Like, it hurt your cause more than it helped it if you would have retired a couple years ago. If he retires 4 or 5 years ago or 3 years ago, his case is probably stronger.
Yeah.
And he's one of the only specialists that I think I would vote for.
I think
I would have voted for him over Hester.
The bloom has come off the rose a little bit. He's not the dominant kicker that he once was.
And I know, and I mentioned the off-the-field stuff because in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's not even called the NFL Hall of Fame, it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, off the field is not supposed to be factored in. I think baseball it is, Pete Rose isn't in, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But it is. I mean, like, I don't know that Antonio Brown's case is going to be as smooth as it should be. I mean, if we just look at on the field, he's in.
Yeah.
But there is a human element. Someone like yourself or whoever has to go in front of a room of their peers and make a case for the guy. And if their heart isn't in it, you know, I mean, I give Tucker a much less chance now.
Yeah. Because the career numbers aren't going to be, like, to me, Vinatieri is in consideration because he's the all-time leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wouldn't vote for him.
He's the hit
just
king.
because he's the
hit king.
Because you stuck around
years.
for
Right.
28 years.
Yeah.
And from the second half of your career, you didn't even kick off or do anything, and you never tried anything beyond 50 after a certain period.
I mean, you and I would be the worst 2 people on the planet to have Vinatieri be or for us to represent him in the hall. But that's why we'd open our argument.
Yeah.
Nobody scored more points than my guy. At least it's somewhere to start.
I just look at what Boswell has done compared to, what Tucker has done here. Tucker's gotten worse at the longer field goals as he's gotten older.
All right, hypothetical. Tucker gets cut, which I think is strongly a possibility, and never kicks again. Like, he may not get picked up, especially if this stuff looms off the field.
Yeah.
Never kicks again. Boz has 3 to 5. Not last year. I mean, he was the best kicker in the league.
He was the best
but, I mean,
kicker.
if he's a top 10 guy for the next 5 years, does he have a better case than Tucker?
Tucker's got all these all-pros and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he made all-pro in 2023, or Pro Bowl, I should say, in 2023, when he was 32 of 37 kicking. He was 1 of 5 from beyond 50.
Mm-hmm.
He probably shouldn't have gone.
But especially at that position, there's some positions, once you get in, it's hard to not.
That's the thing.
You just keep going, especially to a Pro Bowl. Maybe not all pro.
But if you look at the
was Boz all pro this year, or was it Bailey?
He was
number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to look at the Hall of Fame monitor
but
here.
But Tucker hurts Boz a little bit too.
A little bit because
they're both AFC guys.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So if you look at the Hall of Fame kicker stuff, the average Morton Anderson is number 1.
He has the best case.
Yeah. Adam Vinatieri is number 2.
Yeah, but I get it.
Now, there are only 2 kickers in the Hall of Fame.
Stenerud's 1, right?
Anderson and Jan Stenerud.
Okay.
Tucker right now has 56.9 points. The average Hall of Famer is 77.
But it's a 2-person sample.
But Tucker has more points right now. Stenerud at 56.53.
Okay.
Whereas Anderson's at 97.45. Vinatieri's at 93.70. Then you got Gary Anderson at 65.9. Nobody's ever considered Gary Anderson.
No,
he's never
right.
been. Nick Lowry at 57.63. Then you got Tucker.
I mean, in my childhood, the two Anderson kickers were clearly 1 and 2, and one of them kicked in a dome.
The problem is because they take things such as first team All-Pro and Pro Bowls into consideration. Right now,
and it's not like wide receiver where
Boswell's
7 guys go to the Pro Bowl every year, 8th or whatever.
Boswell's like 28th on the list at 20.3 points.
He almost has no chance.
Right. He's behind Jeff Wilkins, for God's sakes.
You'd have to have 5 great years.
He's behind
top
Roy
5, top
Jarella.
10.
No offense to Roy
That's
Jarella.
not close.
It's not even close.
It's not even close.
Phil Dawson, Matt Barr, Bruce Gossett. I couldn't even tell you who Bruce Gossett kicked for.
No, me neither.
Mike Vanderjack.
Yeah. Like if you asked Labs who the best Steeler kicker of all time is, or you or me, anyone.
It's Boswell.
It's not even close. Right.
It's Boswell. It's
I
hands
pulled out
down
Labs
Boswell.
because he's the Steeler historian.
Yeah. Matt Prater is ahead of him. Matt Bryant, Olindo Mare, Sebastian Janikowski.
Well, what's hurting Boz then? I know he's had 2 down years.
He
just not have enough awards.
He's gone to 2 Pro Bowls and been first team All-Pro once.
But it was the most recent.
Yeah.
He'd have to string a few together.
Yeah. And he's only kicked for he's 10 years now in the league.
Tucker's at like 13, 14?
Tucker's he started in 2012, so he's only got 2 more years.
I thought they were about the same
Boswell.
age. But Boz is going to keep kicking.
But Tucker's got 5 first-team All-Pros, 7 Pro Bowls, and
5 first-team
Yeah.
All-Pros is big. I mean,
that's the difference.
That's the difference. And I think he deserved those at the time. He was a dominant kicker.
Vinatieri,
5.
3 Pro Bowls.
He should not.
That
makes me crazy.
He just hung around forever.
He didn't even kick off.
Right.
And if it was longer than a 45-yarder, he didn't even go out there in a dome for like 10 years. He made a nice kick in the snow, and he lasted forever.
And he made a kick in the snow that every other guy in the league from 40 yards would have made.
Yeah, it's not like it's a 10% make percentage.
Though.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways.
I mean, he does have rings.
Yeah. He's got the rings. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting that Harbaugh said
I don't know what
that.
Boz would have to do to get in. He'd have to be
down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
He's the best kicker in Steeler history.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he could get into the Hall of Fame.
It's going to be awfully difficult.
Yeah.
Should be for all kickers, really.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that's going to do it for our show today. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site running the Justin Miller soundboard, for Tyler Vittmeyer making sure our video gets out there on the YouTube, I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.